Hi out there, Kelly Kanzler, Farmers Insurance, San Mateo. Thanks for tuning in to the videos and getting a little bit more information about the hot topic for the day. Today I'm focusing on some more information about real estate professionals and what they need to know in terms of their buyers and sellers for their needs on homeowners insurance. So one of the biggest things to do is make sure that you as a real estate professional have a insurance professional that you're working with, and that you can contact them about properties to find out things that could potentially be an issue, or run quotes in advance so the buyers know what sort of premiums they may be having to calculate over to the lender for their debt to income ratios. It's really super important, but most importantly is finding out if the property is insurable. Here in the Bay Area, we don't have too many problems with rundown homes. That's not really the issue. What we do have is properties that may be in a high fire zone or in a flood zone, or have claims on the property by the previous owners. So those are the top three things that tend to be an issue that I see. So those are things that you need to be able to be in communication with an insurance professional to have them take a look. Every property gets inspected by the insurance company. We send out a third-party inspector, but it doesn't happen until after the close of escrow. So we have 60 days after a policy is bound to have this thing called discovery. If the property has issues like it needs a new roof, or the trees are overhanging the roof, or the siding is peeling off, or the staircase needs a new railing, those are going to be items that get brought to the attention of the homeowner that will need to be remedied within that 60-day period in order for the policy to stay in force. So that's not just a farmer's thing, that's a pretty common industry request. So if we can take a look at these properties before they're requested to be bound and address these issues in advance of the close of escrow, then that buyer is has better full disclosure on what expenses they may incur after they close escrow on this property. The other issue is obviously its location. So we have issues in the Bay Area with this thing called fire line, protection class, brush score. Those may be some hot words that you've heard in the past, but the big thing with that is we love to live where it's exclusive and it's nice and it's great to be away and off the beaten path and away from the freeway and all these things. However, it also causes concern to the insurance companies if you're too far away from the beaten path or have a heavily wooded area that you're living in, that it is of a fire concern. So if that is of an issue, it's better that we know in advance of someone even putting an offer in on a property, and that way they can take a look at different options for their insurance policies, whether that be a high-risk policy, a standard insurance policy, or a California Fair Plan policy. So that's obviously really important. People that end up interested in homes in a flood zone, they need to know how much that's going to cost them per year, because that could throw their debt to income ratio out of proportion to qualify for their loan. And flood insurance is something pretty common in certain areas here in the Bay Area, but most importantly, it's the amount of premium they may need to pay based on the zone that the property is in. So not all flood insurance is the exact same cost. Not all properties are built the exact same way. So every single property can have a flood determination run on it, find out if it's in a required zone or not, and then we can always run a quote. Sometimes elevation certificates are needed, sometimes they're not. Again, these are things you have to find out before your 5 days to closing. So if you're interested in a property and you have a client that's interested in a property, it's good to find out this stuff in advance. There's also, people have considerations and questions about knob and tube wiring. There is knob and tube wiring in most all homes here built in the 50s and newer, but it's if the house has fuse boxes versus a circuit breaker. Circuit breakers are required, and that could be the issue that somebody may run into and need to do new electrical in a house once they close escrow as a requirement, or end up having to buy a more expensive policy in the interim before they do get those things remedied. So if you have questions about properties to be insured and how people need more advising before they're even putting